Hi, this is Thomas with Believe in the Run.
This is Robbie with Believe in the Run.
And Robbie, what do you got in your hands today?
Fly away, little birdie.
Wait, we know birds aren't real.
This is a hologram?
This is a hologram. It's also a robot, and it's spying on you right now.
It's an Allbirds Tree Flyer 2.
You had a Tree Flyer 1?
I did. This is the Tree Flyer 1 right here. So I did run in this and review it last year, and I was a little bit surprised at the first version because I didn't think it was that bad of a shoe, considering it's Allbirds. Like, we've seen their shoes. They're simple. They have created some running shoes in the past, never that great. And then they came out with this one, which has those like Tesla Cybertruck vibes, cutouts, the angular midsole. And you know what? It wasn't that bad.
When you talk about Allbirds, you're skipping over like one of the biggest parts of it. Like, what's the mission?
For sure, yeah. So Allbirds is a very sustainably minded company. In fact, I'd say they're probably the most sustainable shoe company that there is. That's what they try to be, at least. They're one of the few brands that is legitimately like doing everything in their arsenal to
reduce their carbon footprint.
So I do got to give them props, because as a shoe company, it is like, you see a lot of greenwashing, a lot of people throwing out recycled and sustainable. Most brands are very, like, using that term very loosely.
Liberally.
Yeah. Whereas Allbirds, they really do put their money where their mouth is. Like, pretty much every component of the shoe is in some way recycled or using reduced carbon emissions. And so that's the whole point of this. And this is the Tree Flyer 2, which is kind of like their second version of their higher performance running shoe. And they brought the carbon footprint down from this shoe a lot. It's now 7.2 kilograms of CO2 emissions in the production process, which they say is half of the average running shoe. In the very least, it's reducing carbon emissions. Got a lot of recycled materials throughout here. So do you want to get into it?
I'd love to get into it. Tell me about the shoe.
So this is their kind of higher performance daily trainer. They have a tree runner, I believe, and then they have like a trail shoe that's, I don't know. I wouldn't run in it. We've reviewed it. It's very okay. But this one is actually not bad. Again, I like the first version. And let's talk about the upper here. It's a knit upper, which is, knit uppers, well, what are your thoughts on knit uppers?
There's only a couple companies that really nail it. I'd say Nike's probably the best at it.
They do a good job. I'm not sure if there's recycled or upcycled materials in this. I know there's some recycled, but it's Tencel lyocell upper. There's lots of cells going on in there. Again, a knit upper. It feels really pretty comfortable. I was actually surprised by it. Like, it wraps around the foot really nicely. You feel secure, not a ton of movement. You have a lot of, see that heel padding in there that kind of like locks the foot into it.
Locks that ankle down.
And then you have some overlays here on the outside, which the previous version did not have.
Does that help with the fit?
Yeah, I think altogether just everything comes together and provides a nice fit. I did have issues with the first version because your foot sliding around, just not much structure support there.
I'm not, like, when Robbie gets the Allbirds in, I'm like, that's fine, you can do the sustainable shoe. Not really interested in doing it. I haven't liked the way they looked, I haven't liked the way they felt. But I have to say, when this one came in, Robbie, this shoe looks pretty fantastic. Like, this is a good looking shoe.
Yeah, and it still sticks to the whole Allbirds like vibe or overall look of the that they have going on with their shoes.
They really got rid of that Cheerio though. I like that.
I do feel like they did a good job with this. Again, I like this angular midsole design they got here, geometry. Now let's get on to the ride of the shoe. The whole thing with this midsole is that it now it has P-backs in it, so it's actually P-backs blended with castor beans. So here's the thing. Nobody can actually make like a fully sustainable midsole out of like all castor beans or all
sugarcane,
because it's absolutely horrible. I see what Allbirds is doing. They're doing this thing where it's sustainable still, because like, and they don't give away percentages of what's in the midsole. They like don't disclose that.
Well, sprinkling a castor bean.
I know in the past they generally are doing like 50-50 split of sustainable versus like oil-based foams.
I mean, this feels more P-backsy than it does.
Yeah, so I have no idea what the actual percentage is. What they're doing is taking the bounciest foam possible to offset that horrible firmness of a sustainable like castor bean type midsole to make it more bouncy.
It's like sometimes shoe companies will take the insole and put in a really nice cushy insole to offset the hard midsole.
Now, does that translate? Not quite. It's still firm. Of the sustainably minded shoe brands, it's definitely the best.
Well, I guess that's the question. If you're gonna choose a shoe, are you going with this as the best alternative to mass-produced shoes that have a higher carbon foot? Like, are you sacrificing comfort and performance for a moral trade-off?
So exactly. So if you care that much about the environment and where materials are coming from, the carbon emissions, then there are just going to be trade-offs at this point in 2023. There's nothing else. There's no other way about it. In fact, I think that the midsole, although a bit firm, is actually fine to run on. It's not the worst midsole I've ever worn. I do think it's very similar to the last year's version. The stack height in it is, by the way, 31.2 millimeters in the heel.
That's getting down.
And 23.2 millimeters in the forefoot. Yeah, I feel like the midsole is pretty good, and I didn't mind running in it. Now, I think the most I ran in this was like 6 miles, a 6-mile run. It's good for that range. I think it's in that 3 to 5 mile range where probably most Allbirds wearers are gonna run in it.
So this would be a shoe that maybe you're taking to the gym, you're doing your cardio in. It's not gonna be a marathon shoe for you.
Travel shoe, you wanna take it with you. Obviously it packs down very, very nicely. Now this one's also like an ounce heavier than the first version. So this comes in at 10.6 ounces or 301 grams for a men's size 9.
It ain't light.
No, so it's up there with the heavier daily trainers out there on the market. The outsole also has this pretty aggressive lugs and rubber. It was pretty grippy. It was really nice. I think this could double down as a road to trail shoe if you really needed it to. I think it's the best effort we've seen from a sustainably minded company. And by the way, it's $160, so it's like you're gonna have to spend the cash. I think that's a lot of that might be the one thing that Allbirds has to get past, and maybe they've been trying to do for a while, is convincing people to like cheaper isn't always better, or like if you actually care about the environment, you got to spend a little more money.
See, and that's interesting because the Norda brand, their whole thing isn't maybe the materials going into the shoe being green. It's more that the shoe lasts forever, so the Dyneema upper doesn't break down, the midsole and the foam doesn't break down. So where do you, like, if you were gonna pick between a shoe that is green because of the materials, or do you go with something that lasts longer?
I mean, I'm personally on the side of something that lasts longer, even if it's made of, you know, oil-based foams. So I would say I'm leaning more towards just durability and longevity. A shoe that looks good and feels good, like the Norda 001.
You like the shoe? Do you love the shoe? Is it a green? What are we giving this shoe?
Okay, I'm gonna give it 2. If it's going from a sustainably minded, like just green, feeling good about the environment type of shoe, I give it a green, which makes sense because green, you're going green.
I like it.
Go green. If you're just looking at this as a run performance shoe, it's an orange. I'd say it's between red and yellow, just because it's $160, and there's so many other shoes for $160 that you can buy that are better than this.
I mean, that's pretty much the premium daily trainer price right now.
In those terms, it's definitely, you can find many better shoes that are weigh a lot less as well. If you want all those things combined, sustainability and a decent running shoe, get 3 to 5 miles, and you're an Allbirds person, yeah, it's gonna work for you.
All right, Robbie, so thanks for taking us through the Tree Flyer 2.0?
Just 2. There's no
just
0.0.
2? There's no 0.0? They do the point?
The 0.2.
Yeah, I thought maybe we get a 0.0.
Stack height.
All right, thanks for taking us through it, kind of explaining why it could possibly be the daily trainer for some people. What else do we want to tell people?
Just make sure you listen to our podcast, Fuel for the Soul and The Drop. Subscribe and like this video, and
when you're saying subscribe, I say subscribe to our weekly newsletter where Robbie gives you a little bit of literary gold every week.
Silver, sometimes bronze.
Yeah, it shines.
Sometimes cubic zirconium. But anyways, yeah, do that, and thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
All right.